Hey, what's up everyone? Mekkah here, and welcome to another Fire Emblem guide review. Or actually, it's not a Fire Emblem guide review, it's a Pokemon guide review. I haven't found any Fire Emblem guides worth reviewing lately, and one of my Patreons suggested this guide to me, linked it to me, and I was like, you know what, you should take a look at this guide. I was like, you know, I will take a look at that, because that looks pretty cool. This is the official trainer's guide from Nintendo Power. Special edition for yellow, red, and blue. Mostly yellow. I found it's primarily focused on yellow, but it's got some red and blue in there as well, just in case you got that version. And yeah, it's basically everything about those games, those really old games. I think this guide was released back in 1999. I don't see a release date on the cover, but that's what my Google searches have found me. So it's basically a guide for 90s kids who bought a Pokemon game and are confused about something. It's a really cool guide. It has a lot of errors in it too, so there will be some like fun nitpicking and be like, haha, guide bad. But it's also just a really cool, well-made and nice, colorful guide. Apparently it's really expensive too. I looked around on Amazon and eBay for real quick and I saw prices somewhere between like $40–50 up to like $100. So I don't know if it's actually worth that much or people are just pretending it is, but if you have this guide, it might be worth a little bit of money, but I think it's mostly just a cool collectible. I know Rin told me she has this guide somewhere. So we'll take a look at it. I can't take a look at all of it because, I mean, as you can probably see at the bottom, it's actually like 125 pages. Not all that is the guide, but it's still like a really long guide. So I'm just gonna cover the highlights. I got some notes with some highlights, and I hope you can excuse the lack of a fancy background, but I'm not about to edit like a super long video into detailed background stuff, so I don't know how much fancy background I'll be able to do, but instead I'm going to focus on being able to read everything that's important, so I'm going to zoom in a little in and out and stuff. So yeah, let's get into it. So I mean, don't have to say anything about the cover. We all will love this. I think the guy who makes these is called like Sugimori. Really iconic artwork. You've probably seen Blastoise and Charizard and Pikachu on the covers of everything, so that's self-explanatory. Credits to the staff. This is the official guide, so I'm pretty sure the guys who made the game also basically made the guide, as far as I can tell. So you can see a little bit of Kanto here. I'm pretty sure this is like Celadon, for example, in Pewding. It should give you an idea of like what part of the region this is. It's kind of cool that they worked this out in like this not quite top-down view, but like a little bit from the side, like an angle. And that way you can kind of tell what's what. Like you see the cycling road here, Freedom Forest, that kind of details. Like super cool. Cinnabar Island, I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be next to the volcano. Same here. Is my cursor even here? It should be here. There it is. If it wasn't here before, I'm sorry, but you can see it, right? You can see it. So it has like 3 covers. I don't know why. I think this is a booklet. I think you just like kind of scroll through this, but maybe I'm wrong about this. I've never actually held this thing on paper. I just have the digital version right now in front of me. So more like parts of the map. Maybe you can like combine these pieces to make a map. That would probably the thing that makes the most sense. But yeah, here's the contents. So the basics of Pokemon are like the first 10 pages. First 12 pages. The trainer's manual, it's basically like a walkthrough. Then some field guides, like I think this is like information on every single Pokemon or rare Pokemon or something. We'll look through it. And then the data file, which is just a comprehensive, like it's basically if you had Bulbapedia or VKun or some other kind of online Pokedex, but you have it in here with all the data of every single TM and every single item and everything. And yeah, that's pretty cool. I noticed this is very common back then in the 90s to have these for like a video game. I feel like a lot of this is like hidden info, especially since Red, Blue, and Yellow is kind of stingy when it comes to like providing information through guides and like in-game guides, like item descriptions and stuff. You kind of just have to try out and see how something works to figure it out. So it's kind of cool that they had this guide to help along with it. So here's the map of the whole region, but this time in the way you would see it in the game. So for example, you can't really go to this area here, but you will walk through here. So this is basically how you go throughout the game. So you just go up from Pallet Town, right from Pewter City, and then you have to go down the underground tunnel to Vermilion, and then you have to go back and go through Rock Tunnel, etc, etc, etc. And basically just an overview of everything that there is. It's got a lot of little things like this. I can't really say a whole lot about it because it's like, yeah, it's cool. It's really neat that they made this, but it's pretty self-explanatory, especially since Pokemon games are generally kind of easy and self-explanatory by themselves. Wow, that was like really redundant there. But you get the idea, right? It's super cool that they made this. So, the world of Pokemon. This is page 4. I don't really have any notes for this, but we'll just like read into it to, you know, get into it. The world of Pokemon. To become the world's greatest trainer, you must first learn everything there is to know about these amazing creatures. Your adventure begins. As Ash, a young boy from the small village of Palatown, your ambition is to be recognized as the greatest Pokemon trainer the world has ever seen. It's kind of interesting, I think, that they name him Ash here. That's how he is introduced. The game kind of makes you want to call him Red, and in fact in Gold and Silver they called this character Red. So it's kind of funny that they named him after the anime, but I guess it's, you know, a theme with the fact that this guide is like mostly referring to Pokemon Yellow, where it's much more based on the anime than Red and Blue were. So maybe that's why they're doing Ash and Gary. Anyway, aided by the kindly Professor Oak, you must collect as many Pokemon as you can, caring for and training any that you capture. Along the way, you must also battle against rival trainers and unlock a dark mystery involving Team Rocket, an evil society of Pokemon trainers bent on controlling all Pokemon and ultimately the world. There we go. I botched that sentence, but you get the point, right? Stop Team Rocket, they're evil. When you begin a game, you can give your character any name you wish, up to 7 letters long. Wow, 7 letters. Games have come a long way since then. The Super Game Boy displays a red, blue, or Pikachu border, depending on the version of the game you have. I remember these. I mean, I gotta be honest, I played these on an emulator. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, because it was actually pretty hard to read. So, when you begin a game, you can give your character any name. There we go. So I remember these borders, but I never knew what they were for. I saw them on emulator sometimes, but not always. So yeah, I'm a filthy emulator kid. So now I know what they are. They're part of the borders of the Super Game Boy. Makes sense. So here we have Ash. One of the default names for your character is Ash, but you may create any name you wish at the start of the game. Your main rival is your next door neighbor Gary, but you can also give him any name you like. Yeah, we know where those jokes go. Gary. Since he also wants to become the world's greatest Pokemon trainer, Gary is guaranteed to harass you every step of the way. Choose something suitable for an arch rival when you pick his name, because you'll see a lot of him. Yeah, you definitely do. And we got Dr. Oak. Not even Professor Oak, but Dr. Oak. I never noticed this. The esteemed expert on all things Pokemon, Dr. Oak has pioneered the field of Pokemon research. Make him proud by collecting every known Pokemon and helping him complete a definitive Pokemon encyclopedia. Cool. I hope I pronounced that right. And then here's the yellow only part. One of the other differences that separates the yellow version from red and blue is the fact that you receive Pikachu as your first Pokemon. Not only that, but the little electric type refuses to stay in its Pokeball and instead follows you around on screen. You can turn around at any time and check Pikachu's mood by looking at its facial expression. If you keep it happy, you might well be rewarded at certain points in the game. I remember when you gotta get Bulbasaur in the Cerulean, you can kind of abuse this, but I'll get into that when we get to the Bulbasaur part. It's kind of funny. Alright, so I completely forgot to mention while this was relevant, but when you have to get the Bulbasaur in Pokemon Yellow, the girl checks how happy your Pikachu is, and if you've been treating it right, she gives you the Bulbasaur. What the game doesn't know is that you can feed Pikachu a potion to increase its happiness, and even if you try to feed it the potion at full HP, it will still increase the happiness, even though the potion isn't actually doing anything, so you're not depleting your potion uses. So if you just spam using potions on your Pikachu without actually doing it, you just get the Bulbasaur for free, without actually not giving your Pikachu a terrible time throughout the previous routes. So there you go, that's the exploit. It's pretty cool. It's also pretty terrifying for Pikachu. Anyway, let's go through the guide a little bit more. So I'm not going to read everything in this guide, as I said, because it's really long. Like, this is a lot of information to read through, but there's something on page 5 I want you guys to check out, alright? So, they go through like the very, very basic bare bones information on Pokemon, which I'm not going to bore you with. But there's something funny about the part with special attacks. So let me read that out real quick. Let me zoom in real quick on what it is. Let's take a moment though to appreciate all the cool official art on the sides here. They just filled up all the white space with cool art, and it's super nice. Anyway, special attacks, special effects. A Pokemon is rated in 4 areas: attack, defense, speed, and special. The special rating refers to a Pokemon's skill at using special attacks and abilities. Normal attacks reduce the target's HP only, but special attacks also may cause special side effects. I don't know about you guys, but I never realized that it was only supposed to be special attacks who had side effects. And normal attacks, physical attacks, just reduced HP. It's not entirely true when I try to think about it for a little longer, because for example, headbutt and bites in these games, they could flinch the target. But I guess it's not really a special effect, it just like stops the opponent from attacking, but it doesn't do anything like paralyze or change their stats or anything. But I can't really come up with any other moves that have any special effects that are normal moves. I think they exist in later games. They definitely have like more varied attacks later on. But back then this is how it was, and I somehow never realized it. The bubble attack, for example, will cause damage and sometimes reduce the target's speed rating temporarily. Other abilities may have a special effect only. Confusion, for example, doesn't cause any damage, but it may confuse an enemy temporarily and make it end up hurting itself. So this is, I think, is the first of many translation errors, or just errors in general in this guide that we've seen. Confusion is, as you probably know, is a special move that may cause confusion as a side effect, but it does do damage. I think what they were talking about here is confuse ray, but the reason I think this is a translation error, or just like a typo, is because later on they both list confusion and confuse ray in the move database. So I guess whoever was translating this to English, because I'm pretty sure this guide was also released in Japan, whoever just translated just mistranslated the attack name, I think. Some side effects last until the battle ends, while others, like poison, last until they are cured with an item or treated at a Pokemon Center. Alright, so more basic stuff here. And let me scroll through the page number 7, because this is kind of funny. There's something here. This talks about like how evolution works, and they actually talk about how XP works, which I thought was like one of those mechanics that I didn't think they would explain it as in depth that they did, but they did. So they have like canceling evolution here, but let's read a part about rare candy, because that part is interesting if you like watch my channel for a little bit. Rare candy. Feeding rare candy to a Pokemon will boost its experience by 1 whole level. Save your rare candy until later in your adventures, because the amount of experience needed to boost your Pokemon to the next level is higher when your Pokemon is at higher levels. So basically they're saying hoard your rare candies, which I think is kind of funny. I think I do agree that if you save a rare candy for a long time, you get the most XP out of them. I'm not sure if it's always the best idea. It depends how you play Pokemon. Generally, almost any way to play Pokemon works because the games are so easy. They're meant for kids, so they're always easy. They always have been. Not as much as they have been recently, you know, but that's a rant for another day. But the point is, you don't have to play perfectly or use every item optimally to beat it. But I think it's funny that they say to save rare candy. I like using rare candy early on if it gets me to a certain threshold. Like, I don't know, if my Nidoran hits level 15, I'm gonna just give it a rare candy and evolve it, and then evolve it again with a Moonstone, because I like that. It's kind of fun that they tell you to hoard it. They say hoarding is a pitfall, but I think the biggest pitfall is actually just not thinking how you use your items. So this is a reasonable tip. I like this. And the speedruns, they do save a rare candy for later in the game somewhere to hit a certain threshold to, I think, get like a roll correctly. Like they're like borderline killing something, so the rare candy makes it more likely that they'll get the kill, when otherwise it will be determined by RNG. Also, the part about same Pokemon is worth reading. Even wild Pokemon of the same kind and same experience level can have very different ratings. Take these Rattata for example. Both are at level 14, but each has different HP, attack, defense, speed, and special ratings. Before you decide to focus on training a particular Pokemon, make sure you've caught the best one possible from the wild. I like that they're like telling you to just always focus on the best one instead of, you know, every Pokemon is individual, everyone is special, so don't worry. Pokemon are not just good for battle, they're also for, you know, friendship and everything. It's kind of funny. But I do like that they essentially explain DVs. I mean, they don't mention the term DVs because I think that one was fan-made, but they're basically the inherent values that makes the stat differ between Pokemon at the same level. It could also have been, you know, stat XP, I guess that makes it different, like basically what turned into EVs later, those effort values. But it's kind of funny that they like just mention this concept straight off the bat on like page 7 of the guide. That's kind of in-depth stuff. I don't think you ever need to like focus on having good DVs if you're just playing Pokemon casually. I think this might be, if someone's reading this guide as a new player and they somehow thought this was important, they might actually, you know, play a more tedious game than they want to, but maybe they would be into it. I don't know. I don't think this is one of the most important things that you need to mention in a guide, but hey, it's fun in-depth stuff. It's cool that it's in there. So let me go through a little bit. Evolution Stone stuff, pretty standard. But it's cool that they just named them all here. I always have trouble remembering exactly which ones they are. Like if you ask me to name them from the top of my head, I might miss a couple. So it's pretty cool to just have an overview of them right here, like this. Let me zoom out a little bit. I got a part about linking and trading as well. I like the trading tip where it's like, hey, you should... it basically says, I'm going to summarize it. It basically just says, hey, you should always catch 2 of something so you can trade one of them and keep the other one. I always thought it was kind of funny. But what we need to get into is the battle tactics, and I think this is the one I want. We got the typing stuff. Where's it at? Oh, it's page 11 actually where it's at. Okay. But yeah, it basically just tells you how typing works, and it has a type chart in here. Real quick, there was something I noticed. I'm not entirely sure about this. Yeah, so this is the attacking type. My cursor is visible, I'm pretty sure. And this is the Pokemon that's defending here. Poison is listed as effective against Bug, which is true in Gen 1. It stopped being effective later, but it was apparently intended to be that way in Gen 1. And I think Fighting There was something with bug and fighting that was like weird to me. Bug versus poison I think is the weird one. So bug versus, let me find poison is here, yeah. It says here bug is advantageous against, I guess, poison. So they are effective against each other, and they fixed that in later gens. I think they stopped doing that later on. I thought it was kind of cool that they just acknowledged it here. But later on, they actually get the type chart wrong. It's kind of funny how badly they get it wrong, actually. Also, apparently in Gen 1, dragons are supposed to have an advantage over dragon, even though there is no effective dragon move. The only move is Dragon Rage, which does a set 40 damage, so there's no type effective there. But they still thought that dragons could best other dragons for some reason. And also, while I'm looking at this, it looks like Ghost is supposed to be neutral against everything and then be effective against itself, but it doesn't list that it doesn't work against normal types, I don't think, because Ghost here is the attacking type, and it's supposed to be neutral against normal, but it doesn't seem to be. And then I think it's also supposed to be that it doesn't work on psychic types, but for some reason that's just not listed. So that's kind of odd. I feel like that must have been a bug then. Either that or just failed at translating it, I don't know. But you imagine that like, translating a type chart wouldn't be too difficult. You just have to translate the type names and advantage, disadvantage. That's kind of weird. Yeah, let's go to team tactics here, because team tactics on the next page is a pretty cool part. And by cool I mean there's a weird thing in it. So let me read through it. No single type of Pokemon has distinct advantage over all others, and there's no telling what types you may run into at a given time. You know, Psychic beats everything, but that's besides the point. It's a good idea, then, always to have a mixed team that can handle different threats. For the early parts of your adventure, we'd recommend building a team consisting of, and there you go, specific team recommendation. Wartortle, Pikachu, Pidgeotto, Diglett, Metapod, and Rattata. As time goes on, change the lineup to include Blastoise, so just evolve your Wartortle, Raichu, which is not possible in yellow, but okay. Machamp, so something you're supposed to just pull a Machamp out of your butt. I think you could trade for a Machoke actually and evolve it into Machamp. So that is an option, I guess. Evolve your Diglett into Dugtrio, but now, instead of Metapod, you get to have Flareon. So not even Butterfree, just get a Flareon. And just get Alakazam. Like, just ditch your Rattata and get an Alakazam, because that thing beats everything. Both of those teams give you a good mix of offensive and defensive capabilities, yeah. I love the defensive capabilities of Metapod in particular. I think that's a really good choice for defensive capabilities. To be fair, I agree with the rough lines of this. It seems a little bit overly specific, but I guess what they're doing here is providing you with a single sample team that you can use if you're really not sure what to use and you just want to get through the game and you're paranoid you're getting soft locked or something. I just think it's always funny when they recommend like these specific Pokemon. And it's funny that they recommend Alakazam, because that is really one of the best Pokemon in Gen 1. You should also keep a close watch on your team's experience levels. You don't want your Pokemon to fall behind the competition, but you also don't want to develop them too quickly either. If your Pokemon are too strong, they will defeat wild Pokemon before you have a chance to capture them. Yeah, that's definitely been a huge problem. This seems kind of weird advice. Why would you not want your Pokemon to be like super strong? Sure, it might sometimes make it harder to weaken Pokemon to capture them, but you don't even always need to weaken them anyway. You can just like inflict paralysis on something and then just be able to capture it. The Pokemon that are hard to capture are like the legendaries, and they will not die in one hit, not to every single one of your team members. So worrying about being too strong is something I don't think you need to tell someone, especially not, again, on page 11 of a beginner's guide. Like, they should not be afraid to raise their Pokemon too much. There's another thing about raising Pokemon too much that we need to get into, but I'll get into that when we're at that part. Oh yeah, the training tips part here at the bottom left, it just basically explains how training works. But at the bottom it says, remember that powerful Pokemon that you captured or receive in a trade may not obey you unless you've earned the proper Pokemon League badge. This is a pretty big misconception. I'm not sure if this is a bug in the game or just a badly written guide, but a lot of people think that if you overlevel a Pokemon that you just captured yourself, that has your trainer ID, that they will stop obeying. But the truth is that only goes for traded Pokemon, like the Mr. Mime you can trade for in Red and Blue. That's one I had it happen with once. And I had it happen like, this one time I played Pokemon Gold and Silver, and I had 2 carts, and I actually decided, you know what, I want the XP boost, and I want to use all the starters. So what I did is, on one game, I started and I picked like Totodile, and another one I picked Cyndaquil, and I traded the Cyndaquil over to the game that had Totodile, and I restarted that game that gave away its starter again to get the last starter. Chikorita, traded that one over, and then I had a game with all 3 starters on it, and I noticed that like the starters that I traded over stopped obeying me, but the first starter I picked just went just fine. So this is definitely a misconception. This is not just something that happened in Gen 2, this is in Gen 1 as well. Only Pokemon that have been gotten in a trade that can get overleveled will stop obeying you at some point. They'll start using other moves, or just suddenly fall asleep, or refuse to move. That kind of stuff. It can happen, but only with traded Pokemon. It's like a drawback that they get for having boosted experience, because they get like, I think they get 1.5 times more experience than usual. So it's like a way to keep them reined in. But there's definitely NPCs in the games too that are like, you know, you shouldn't raise your Pokemon too much. They might stop obeying you. And gym leaders even tell you like, hey, if you get this badge, Pokemon up to level 30 will keep obeying you because you're so good as a trainer. But don't raise your Pokemon too much or they might stop obeying you, that kind of stuff. But that only goes for traded Pokemon, and a lot of people don't notice. And I think that might be because a lot of people just don't trade their Pokemon. A lot of people just played solo, from what I know, and not everyone has people to trade with. Not everyone has a link cable, so it makes sense that people don't know about this. But yeah, it's a misconception. Alright, so this is tips on how to use your trainer's manual. I don't know why you would need a manual to use a manual, but it's pretty cool that they indicate exactly how everything works. I don't have too much to say about it, but it is really elaborate and nicely colored in. Again, filling every empty space here with the cool official art of everything. And they even distinguish very well between Pokemon Red and Blue and everything, where they indicate exactly what everything means. And for example here, a blue circle means that this trainer only appears only in red and blue versions, while an orange ring means yellow only. So the guide is, again, it's focused on yellow from what I can tell, but it definitely has a lot of info for red and blue as well. Like, it works pretty well as a guide for blue and red as well. But yeah, this is the trainer's manual, and as far as I can tell, this is a separate booklet. This is scanned in separately from what you can see. You can see like the non-guide parts of the things, like the table or whatever that was behind whoever's photographing or scanning this. It's kind of cool. But yeah, they got a whole manual here. So every single town, every single area gets explained here with all the obtainable items, all the NPCs you can talk to, where you should go, what Pokemon you could possibly encounter. I mean, these Pokemon like the Tentacool and Staryu and everything are not very relevant right now, but I guess the Pikachu could be in yellow, because, you know, yellow, you get a Pikachu starter. But yeah, this is for the fish finder. So apparently you fish here. It is kind of weird that they use a fish finder to say like, hey, if you fish here, this is what you get. Because in Gen 1, you only have 3 rods. You have the old rod, the good rod, and the super rod. And only the super rod gives different Pokemon. The old rod is always going to give you Magikarp, and the good rod, I think, always gives you Goldeen and Poliwag. So it's kind of weird that they have a fish finder here for basically just the super rod, but they don't even mention the super rod. That seems to be one of the first things you should mention when you're having a fishing guide. It's like, hey, this only applies if you're using this specific rod. But yeah, this just tells you how to get started on your adventure, how to get your start on everything, getting the town map, that kind of stuff. So then it explains how your first rival battle goes, explains how Route 1 works, and it just kind of goes on like that, explaining all the wild Pokemon you can find here. I think these are not Pokedex entries, but just information about the Pokemon, but not specifically like exactly what it says in the Pokedex, which I think is still very cool. Nice way to word it. They explain how Legends works, or rather Hedges, I guess. I think they're supposed to be called Ledges. I mean, everyone just calls them Ledges these days, but I guess in this guide they're called Hedges. Whatever. The point is you can jump over them. You can jump downwards, but not upwards. So yeah, let's move on to a part about these ledges actually. Page 22. There it is. Yeah, this part. No going back. Once you jump over this hedge, you'll be stuck in Cerulean City. If you need to train your Pokemon further before facing Misty, there's a field just outside of the city that you can reach. The field is home to several species of wild Pokemon. So I always thought it was like kind of a cool area that never really gets talked about, where you cannot go back once you come out of Mount Moon and you jump over this thing here. It was never really mentioned in the game by any NPCs from what I know. It's like, hey, you're stuck here now, you can't go back. But it was cool to like have these kinds of experiences without anyone telling you they were happening, and instead it's just, alright, I guess I can't go back, gotta figure my way out now. The first gen games, to me, what I really like about them, and why they're still my favorites to this day, besides maybe Gen 2, is there wasn't a whole lot of hand-holding. You can get more information by talking to NPCs on your own if you were stuck on your own, but for the most part you were left to figure out everything yourself, whereas these days the games are a lot like, you know, it feels like you're going from cutscene to cutscene. Every time there's just someone explaining you like, hey, you should do this next, or hey, you should do this next. It's either your mom or the professor or your rival telling you like, hey, this is where you should go next. This is the next part of your quest. Whereas this feels more like your own adventure. It gives you some more autonomy, some room to explore, and I really liked that back then. I like this part about Ivysaur, this entry here. I like how it explains Unknown Dungeon 2, but other than that, there's not a whole lot to say about this page. So Ivysaur. Once Bulbasaur reaches level 16, it evolves into the more powerful Ivysaur. Combination Pokemon have twice the strengths and weaknesses of other Pokemon, and it's like, okay, technically none of this is false, which is why I'm not going to criticize it too hard. It's just weirdly placed on this page. My problem with this is that it's been mentioned as something that's like unique to Ivysaur or relevant to Ivysaur, when in fact Ivysaur is the same typing as Bulbasaur. So if this is about the grass poison type, that was already something you could tell us about Bulbasaur, or something you might have been able to tell us in the whole part about like typing matchups, combat matchups, you know, that page at the start of the guide. But instead it just mentions it in Ivysaur's thing. And also, twice the strengths and twice the weaknesses doesn't really apply here, does it? I mean, you get more weaknesses with an extra type usually, unless your types just match up very well and they cancel each other out. But twice the strength, I guess you could sometimes get access to more moves. Like if your grass poison moves, you might expect to have the ability to use poison moves, but Ivysaur doesn't learn any poison types moves that are offensive. Like it doesn't learn acid or sludge or anything. So it is just a weirdly placed thing. A lot of guides I review have this, where they mention something that might technically be true, but it just doesn't seem very relevant at the moment, and even a little bit misleading, because you might think all this applies to Ivysaur. And twice the strengths and twice the weaknesses doesn't even really apply, because you don't exactly always get twice the amount of advantages and disadvantages. Types are more complicated than that. They all have equal weaknesses and, you know, benefits. So it's a little weird. It's a little weird. Alright, this page has a little bit about the Pokemon daycare that I would like to share with you after I drink some water. Stay hydrated, folks. So, the Pokemon daycare will be glad to take one of your Pokemon from you and train it. If you can afford the high cost and can spare the Pokemon for a long time, leave it with the daycare while you continue your adventure. Much later, return to the Pokemon daycare to pick up your experienced Pokemon, but know the cost: 100 for every experience level that it's gained in the meantime. You won't be able to choose which skills it will learn as it matures, but that's the risk you take. And then below it has like a piece about the way to use the Pokemon daycare. So far it's just the basic mechanics, nothing really wrong with it. I mean, I generally would not, as a new trainer, when I first encountered the daycare, I was like, alright, I'm not doing that. I'm not leaving my Pokemon with this guy. I'm just gonna continue playing and raising my team, because that's half the fun of it, right? You're playing the Pokemon, you're using that Pokemon because you like that Pokemon, so you don't want to part with it for your entire adventure to pick it up later. That's just not fun. And also, you don't really get that many levels from it anyway, unless you walk around a lot, because I think it's every step is one point of experience. But yeah. Anyway, the best way to use the Pokemon daycare. After you hand over one of your Pokemon to the Pokemon daycare, it will get 1 experience point for every step you continue along your long adventure. Check in one of your Pokemon that you would like to have to gain experience this way, rather than by using it in battles. The weak Magikarp might be a great candidate, since it becomes a ferocious Gyarados at level 20. Abra will be another good choice, since it becomes much more powerful after level 16 when it evolves to Kadabra. Even if you're gone such a long time that the Pokemon's level passes up its absolution level, the Pokemon will wait for you to return and tell it whether to evolve, and it will have learned new abilities that its level would have allowed. I think this part is downright misleading, because it suggests that Magikarp and Abra are good candidates for the daycare, and that you don't have to worry about learning abilities or evolving. But the truth is, the daycare is going to nerf those Pokemon if you don't time it properly. Because the moment Magikarp hits level 20, it's supposed to evolve, but it's not gonna, because it's in a daycare. It can't evolve in a daycare. So, unless you come back right at level 20, it's probably going to make it the way to level 21. And if you pick it up at level 21 or later, and you get your Gyarados back, it's still going to have Splash and Tackle, the moves that Magikarp learns. It's not going to have Bite, because Gyarados only learns Bite at level 20, and Magikarp doesn't. So you're probably going to miss out on a move. The same with Abra and Kadabra. If you pick it up at level 17, it was supposed to evolve at level 16. And at that point, it learns Confusion and starts to be able to attack and like defend itself. But if you pick up a level 17 Abra from the daycare, or you pick up a level 16 Abra actually from the daycare, you level it up once to evolve it with like a rare candy or just pushing in and out of battle, it's going to get to level 17, it's going to evolve, but it's not going to learn Confusion in this gen. I think that changed later in later gens, but as far as I know, it doesn't work for the daycare. And I had an experience like this once. I don't remember if it was Abra or Magikarp or something else, but I think I've experienced this once, and it was pretty stupid. So I don't really like this. So unless I'm wrong about this, which, I mean, correct me in the comments if I am, I'm pretty sure this is actually like bad advice. Generally, you should leave a Pokemon that you don't mind missing out on moves like this. I think they just take into account that Pokemon like Abra and Magikarp are going to miss out on moves as they level up, because they're going to surpass the level that their evolution learns new moves. So yeah, I recommend just training your Magikarp or Abra yourself, or keeping a close eye on them to make sure that they actually get the moves that they need to defend themselves, because Bite is pretty nice to have on Gyarados later early on. Also, if you come back like much later to get them, they'll probably have surpassed that level that they will want them to be. They're probably going to be on level compared to your party, because the daycare levels is very slow. It's 1 XP per step is really not much. Especially in this gen where you can only leave 1 Pokemon behind. That's pretty bad. So this is the page for the Saint Anne, and there's not much to say about it in general. What page are we on? We're on 29 actually. We need to go back a little bit. No, actually we're fine here. What I wanted to note, one thing is they actually indicate where a hidden item is, which I thought wouldn't be something they would do, but apparently they're okay with just leaking secrets like that. For example, the Great Ball that you can find in the kitchen on the bottom trash can, number 2 is right here. You can see that here. And it also talks about Gary. Let me read this part out a little bit. Gary blocks the way to the captain's cabin, and his Pokemon stronger than ever. In the yellow version, he has the same 4 Pokemon as before. And that apparently that's Spearow, Rattata, Sentry, Eevee. That means you should battle with water, grass, and bug types attacks if you can. I'm not sure why you're supposed to use a bug type here. Spearow, Rattata, Sentry, Eevee, none of them seem like very weak to bug types. And doesn't he have an Abra at some point? Maybe that's only in red and blue, but maybe that's why they wrote it. Maybe that's why they wrote that. But with this team, there's no reason to use a bug type. And after that, you get the HM one. That's correct. I just thought this was like really funny. Alright guys, there's a typo here. It says fight the as one word. It's supposed to be 2, so this guide is automatically bad. This is terrible. Alright, this is page 38 of the guide, and this is the game corner. This is like when you get into the secret thing beneath the thing, and you're gonna like bust out Giovanni and get the lift key and everything. It doesn't really tell you how to get the lift key, it just tells you to pick it up, which is kind of cute. But I guess that's just something they're leaving you to figure out on your own. I want to read this part out real quick with the versus Giovanni part. So Giovanni has, hold on, is it properly capturing this? Yeah, I guess it's alright. Giovanni has an Onix and a Rhyhorn in all 3 versions of the game, but in red and blue he will also come at you with a Kangaskhan. In the yellow game, his 3rd Pokemon will be a Persian, but no matter which pack you're playing, his Pokemon will all be between levels 25 and 27. Strong water, grass, or fire type should be all you need to KO his team and grab the Sylph Scope. I'm not sure why you would need a fire type. That sounds like he has like a grass type of some kind, but he really doesn't have anything weak to fire. He's like Persian and Rhyhorn and everything like that. I don't know why he's supposed to have a freaking fire Pokemon. And also, I like how they say that you shouldn't let him escape. I don't know where it said that. I think it's at the top. Yeah. Your sleuthing has landed you in the middle of a huge Team Rocket operation headed by a sinister figure known as Giovanni. The man in the slick suit at the rear of the game corner is actually guarding the entrance to a secret underground lair. Giovanni has prototype Sylph Scope that can identify the ghosts back at the Pokemon Tower. Don't let him escape. Like, he's not going anywhere. And then once you fight him, he does actually escape. So if you read this guide and you fight him and he just like teleports out of the basement, you might think like, shit, I fucked up. I let him escape. God damn it. So yeah, you gotta be very careful when writing guides, because people are gonna like, the people that rely on them will probably take your word as like gospel. I don't think that was the right wording for it, but hey, what do I know? Okay, there's another description here for the Gary battle for the Pokemon Tower. When Gary gets in your way on the 2nd floor, he will pick a fight as usual. If you're playing the red and blue cartridge, he'll have a level 25 Pidgeotto, a level 23 Gyarados, a level 22 Growlithe, a level 20 Kadabra, and the Pokemon he chose at the beginning of the game. In the yellow version, he'll be a little more formidable. Look at how this formidable Pokemon. He's got Fearow, Shelder, Vulpix, and Sandshrew. All these except the Fearow are unevolved, but okay, fair enough. I guess he doesn't have Abra or Kadabra in this one. He only gets Alakazam later on. Alright. Your rival will also use his Eevee, which may by then have evolved into a Flareon, Vaporeon, or Jolteon. But then here it just says Eevee, and I'm pretty sure he just always has the Eevee, because if you look at here, it actually just says Eevee. But I'm going to double check it on the Bulbapedia real quick, just to make sure. Alright, so this is the 5th battle of the rival. Only counts if, you know, if you're in Pokemon Tower, like it says here, Pokemon Tower. And look at that. It's just Eevee. It's just Eevee. And it's just Eevee. And the next battle, that's when it starts evolving. It's a Vaporeon, Jolteon. But this is the one in Silphco. This is the one in Pokemon Tower. He never evolves as Eevee here. His Pokemon change though, depending on which evolution he's gonna get, which again depends on like whether you won or lost the battles. I guess they mean this in the lab, like the first one, and the second one in Viridian City on the way to the Pokemon League. That's when it's determined what Eevee's going to evolve into. That's why its team changes a little bit. But Eevee itself is still level 25 and unevolved. So thanks, guide. You were wrong. Still cool though. Alright, so this page is all about the Silph where you're freeing it from Team Rocket. It turns out that Silph is being forced to produce advanced technology for Team Rocket. You must reach the top floor and free the company president from Giovanni's clutches. If you rouse Giovanni, you won't have to defeat the rest of the Team Rocket's agents individually. When you need to heal your Pokemon, look for a woman at the bottom left corner on the 9th floor. So, pretty neat. The part I want to draw your attention to is actually the bottom left here. Be wary of the bald guy on the 5th floor, and I point to her. It's here. It's a juggler. He's the only one to use the psychic types Alakazam and Mr. Mime. And then if you look at the page, it just says Kadabra. It's just a Kadabra. It's not an Alakazam. It's not that scary. It can be kind of scary. It's a Kadabra. It's a psychic type. It's fast. It can kill your Pokemon with low HP, like it says. It's just kind of funny that they call it Alakazam and put an illustration next to it with a Kadabra on it. It's just a typo. Like, this kind of stuff amuses me. It's a typo, but it's a super obvious one. I know it's tough to like proofread a document that's like 100 pages plus, but it's just such an obvious error. It kind of amuses me. Alright, this page is about Route 12, the route that's like below Lavender Town and on its way to Vermilion and Fuchsia. You've liberated Saffron City from Team Rocket's mad scheme, and you could probably use a bit of a whole holiday. We hear the fishing is good down south of Lavender Town, so grab your old rod and get set to drown some worms. So the first thing that amused me is like this drowning a worm is a funny expression I've never seen used for fishing before, but that's pretty funny. And then grab your old rod. Yeah, let's go fish up some Magikarps in like the one fishing spot instead of doing that literally anywhere else. It's like you can grab Magikarps anywhere. Why would you need to bring your old rod here? If you want to fish something up, how about you get the good rod from the guy in the house? Which is like right here actually. I don't think they say anything about it. I don't think they mention it ever that you can get the good rod here. They mentioned about a bunch of Pokemon, including one you can fish up apparently. That's Seadra, or maybe you can get it by surfing. I don't remember. But the point is, they don't talk about the good rod. They just mention the old rod. So why not? Actually, come to think of it, the good rod is in Fuchsia City. It's the super rod you get here. This is the best rod in the game for using their fishing guide. Even got a fish finder here that just talks about all these Pokemon. Alright, cool. No super rod, I guess. Unless I'm missing something, but there really isn't nothing about the super rod here as far as I can tell. That's kind of sad. On this page, about the next few routes in that whole maze part between Vermilion and Lavender and Fuchsia. Nothing like that I want to say, but there's a part I want to draw your attention to, that part about Gloom and Vileplume. Like most grass-type Pokemon, Gloom can hardly move, but it doesn't need it to move its limbs to launch an attack. Alright, so sure, it's slow, I guess, that works. But then Vileplume. Gloom and Vileplume don't need to move to attack, so paralyzing them doesn't affect their ability to fight. Huh? They don't? The only thing I can think of that this means is that, like, if they poison you beforehand, like if Vileplume or Gloom uses poison powder on you, then you're gonna take damage even if you paralyze them. But that's being very generous with the interpretation here. I don't know if this is something that was meant to be an in-game bug, or if it's just a lore thing that just looks like a game mechanic, but this is just wrong. This is just wrong. Why would you write this? Because it's not... Maybe the writer of this was like, he paralyzed a Vileplume once in his life, and it still beat him, and he was like, alright, I guess it doesn't work to paralyze it. It just doesn't work against it for some reason, and just assumed it was true. Misconceptions in a guide, yay! Alright, so this page is all about Fuchsia City, and this part here deals with the Fuchsia Gym, the Koga Gym. The Safari Zone may be the most popular tourist attraction in town, but the real trainers eventually make their way to the gym for a true test. The Fuchsia City Gym is the headquarters of Pokemon trainers who also follow ninja disciplines. Their training regimen focuses on techniques that poison and induce sleep, so be sure to have some antidote and awakening on hand. Since all the walls in the gym are invisible, you can follow the arrows on the map to find a direct route to Koga. I don't know about you guys, but I never found this gym too hard when playing, because the walls were clearly visible. I mean, a little hard to see sometimes, but clearly visible. On this map, it's not that visible, but I never really found it too difficult. But that might be because of emulator or just the way my gamer works, but I never found it too hard to see the walls here. The other part that I find amusing always is that this gym, besides Koga, has no poison Pokemon. It's just like, it has some jugglers with like psychic types and like tamers, with like a Tauros and a Sandslash, if I remember serves. They have an Arbok actually. I have like an Arbok and maybe like 1 or 2 others, but generally there's not that many poison types. The only poison types are on Koga, and Koga in yellow he has like a bunch of Venomoths and Venomoth, like it says here, and then, or he just has Coughing Muck, Coughing Wheezing. It's so funny that they mention techniques that poison and induce sleep. I guess that's why they have all these jugglers here with like drowsies with hypnosis, I think is what he's got. Not entirely sure on that, but I think that's what they're referring to. And then there's also hypnose with like poison gas, I think. So that's probably where it comes from. But generally, there's like a tamer that has like a Sandslash and a Tauros. Those are not really known to use those. I guess Sandslash learns Poison Sting, but generally, this theme of this gym was never really executed well, I think. It's much better in like Gen 2, where they actually all have like varied poison Pokemon. But here, it just doesn't make any sense. There's hardly any status induction here, as far as I'm concerned. Koga does a lot of poisoning, but he actually doesn't do any sleeping in Red and Blue either. Like Coughing and Muck and friends, they just don't learn sleep moves. The Venomoth, though, definitely does. That was hell to beat. Like a level 50 Venomoth, that fucking sucked dealing with that as a kid. Holy god, I hated Koga when playing Yellow for the first time. Okay, this page covers the Safari Zone. Let me read this part out to you. Speak to the gate attendants to receive 30 Safari Balls. To catch any wild Pokemon you find, toss Safari Balls at them. Often, you'll have to throw food or rocks to distract certain Pokemon, so try many different combinations when a particular Pokemon keeps escaping. When you run out of Safari Balls or walk 500 paces, you'll warp back to the gate automatically. I have a funny guide in mind from my own childhood that discussed exactly how to catch every Safari Zone Pokemon, and it would list like every single Pokemon you can encounter and list like combinations what you should do. It was like, alright, for this Pokemon use bait, rock, bait, rock, and then ball, 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 or something like that. And then like rock, rock, ball, or something, like those kind of combinations. Nowadays, as a somewhat fully functioning adult, I realize that those combinations are all bullshit. And there's only one combination that works for every single Pokemon, and that combination is ball, 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 ball. Repeat infinitely. Ball everything. Just throw balls, because the way it works is a bait will increase its chances to, will decrease its chances to catch it, but it will increase the chances of it staying in battle, because it will be eating the bait instead of running away. Whereas a rock does the opposite. It increases your chance of catching it with a ball, but it also increases the chance of it running away. And the most difficult Pokemon to catch are the ones that just run away by default almost. I think Pokemon like Tauros, Kangaskhan, and Chansey, they always just run away. So you just want to throw a ball at them while you have a chance. They could stay longer with a bait, but I think bait just really decrease your chances of catching it by too much, to the point where you're just better off throwing a ball right away and hoping to catch it. Safari Zone mechanics were pretty bullshit. I think I even remember an NPC saying, alright, you can throw bait or throw a rock. Bait increases your chances of catching it, and a rock increases your chances of catching it, but it will also spook the Pokemon and maybe make it go away. I'm reading that, I was always like, wait, so why the fuck would I ever use a rock? Because apparently they both increase the chances of catching a Pokemon, but okay, but the rock spooks it, so why would I use a rock? It was very confusing to young Mekkah, but you know, now we know how it works. But apparently the game itself has no idea how it works. Safari Zone is fucking bullshit. I hate the luck-based catches, because you can't weaken anything. And a Safari Ball, I believe, is only as good as a Great Ball. So the odds of catching something, they're there, but they're generally not very good. And when it comes to Pokemon like Tauros and Kangaskhan, I always found a huge pain in the butt. The best way to catch them, actually, was using a glitch where you would go into Safari Zone, and then do the old man trick with Cinnabar Island and Missing No, and then whenever you're surfing up and down that shore on Cinnabar Island, you would find Safari Zone Pokemon, but now you could like weaken them, status them, and throw like Ultra Balls or clone Master Balls and just catch them like that. That was the way I preferred doing it, I think, once I figured it out, but most of the time I have to go through it the hard way, and it fucking sucked. Safari Zone fucking sucks. So this page deals with routes 16, 17, and 18, and if you look at the map, you'll realize that this is Bicycle Road. And let me just read this out real quick. Also known as Cycling Road, routes 16, 17, and 18 are a favorite hangout for bicyclists and motorcyclists alike. It just so happens that many of these two-wheeling enthusiasts are Pokemon trainers as well, and you must fight your way up to Long Slope to Southern City. From there, make your way back to the power plant. I think this is amusing, because they expect you to, like, once you enter Leverton Town, they kind of expect you to go down here after you're done with the Pokemon Tower quest, and then go back up after you've already been in Celadon to bust out Giovanni. So you've been here, but you're supposed to like go all the way back here, and then go uphill on Bicycle Road, and that's such a long way to go around. I guess it makes the adventure longer, but wouldn't you rather go down from Cycling Road and not have to deal with going uphill? Because if you don't press any buttons while going on Cycling Road, you're going down towards Fuchsia. So that's where you want to be going when you're on bicycle road. So by going back up, it's like super annoying. You have to like, it's so slow. I hate it. And also, like they say here, you get fly in this house next to Cycling Road. So why wouldn't you recommend the trainer to pick this up when they're in Ceylon for the first time? You know, when you're fighting Erica and you're doing the game corner quest, pick up fly and then you can fly all over the place and it's super nice. But instead they leave this until you've gone all the way around here, and it's just, that shit annoys me. That's a bad recommendation. Why would you make it so annoying? Alright, so this is the page that deals with Indigo Plateau and the Elite Four, and for the most part the advice is fairly sound, but there is one that I want to point out real quick about Lance. Lance is the leader of the Elite Four and the most powerful trainer in the Pokemon League. His Dragon type Pokemon are vulnerable to Ice type and Fighting type powers. Alright, the good one. And if you look at his trainer, it's like, actually most of his Pokemon are like just neutral or weak or even resistant to fighting, like Gyarados and Dragonite, so this is dumb. I guess it was a typo. On the other hand, no Pokemon can defend well against Dragon type attacks, so keep lots of potions ready. This is funny because, yeah, there's nothing that resists Dragon, but the only Dragon move is Dragon Rage, and it does 40 damage, so you could literally use normal potions to cure most of the damage they do. Like, they do 40, you just heal 20. I guess maybe they were writing this, maybe they were planning to have other Dragon moves around, an actual strong move like, I don't know, Outrage from Gen 2, but as is, what you have to fear actually is an attack like Hyper Beam, which just has like 150 base power, but that's normal, so you could use like a, I don't know, a Rock type Pokemon or something to defend against that, but that's just details. The point is, this is kind of poorly worded, but it's not strictly terribly super wrong, but it's a little bad. It's a little bad. There's also a section that deals with Gary. Gary defeated the Elite Four before you even set foot on Victory Road. Of course he did. And now you must beat him if you want to claim the title of World's Greatest Pokemon Trainer. The first half of his team, in yellow at least, will always be Sandslash, Alakazam, and Execute in the yellow version. Execute? How about Executor? And Pidgeot, Alakazam, and Rhydon in the red and blue. Just the red and blue. Not the red and blue version or red and blue, just the red and blue. The rest of his team will vary from game to game, depending on the Pokemon he chose in red and blue versions and the evolution of his Eevee in yellow. Whatever he's got, you should be able to defeat him with, and here it comes, level 45 Pokemon if you play wisely and carry lots of Max Revive and Max Potion. Not strictly wrong, you can probably beat him with level 45s, but you know, for a guy that recommends getting a lot of experience and having a variety of teams, I would expect them to like prepare the player a little better. Like if you look at the levels of the Elite Four, they start level 54, and by the time they go up to Gary, they're like 60 plus, on their way to the 70s. So recommending a new player that's going to be fine with level 45 is like, I mean, I guess that's probably roughly the level you end up at if you just fight almost everything and you use like 6 Pokemon, then you don't use like ATM slaves or, you know, low man the game. Like that's usually more efficient and faster, but I don't recommend a guide like this to, you know, cater to the fast and efficient group of players. They're looking for new players that use like a variety team, so 6 Pokemon is reasonable to assume, but 45 is not very high for beating with like 65s. And also, telling someone to carry lots of Max Revive also strikes me a little bit weird, because Max Revive cannot be bought anywhere. You have to pick it up as like hidden items, and sure, they show hidden items. I don't know if they show all of them, but they show like quite a bunch. But you're probably not going to have more than 5 max, and I'd rather recommend they use like normal revives. Also, if your Pokemon are level 45 only, there's no reason to have max potions. Just use hyper potions. They're going to heal everything, like this Hypno right here. Hyper potions heal 200. It's going to heal like this Hypno completely and then some. So you don't need max potions. You just need hyper potions. Save your money, guys. You actually cannot buy hyper potions at the Pokemon League, I think, in this game. No, you can't. It's just listed right here, max potion. So you're probably better off buying hyper potions at like not Celadon, Fuchsia or Cinnabar. I usually go to Cinnabar for that, so that's probably better. Nitpick, I know, but I just found it funny. But yeah, that's it. You beat the game, and now it goes into detail like the unknown dungeon and everything. And we're gonna scroll back down for a couple more pages that I want to show you of a couple of guides that they have, but the meat of the guide has been covered by now. So one cool thing they have that I want to show is they have like stamps or stickers or something. It says each Pokemon has a data card in the field guide, pages 71 through 108. As you collect each one, peel off its stamp and place it in the place provided on its card. So this is how you can keep track of which Pokemon you caught outside of the game. And if you look at it here, they actually show Mew here. So Mew is not just a secret in the game, it actually exists. I don't remember if this is actually the sprite it has in-game, but looking at everything else, it probably is its sprite in yellow. I just haven't really looked at it much, but I just think it's kind of cool that they show all this stuff. Also, I love Executor's, you know, yellow sprite. It's much better than red and blue. Much better, so much better. But yeah, here is the field guide. All kinds of stuff on Pokemon. This is where you can see which Pokemon are available how. So you have to like get this Pokemon through an event or capture them, evolve existing Pokemon that don't exist in the wild, and Pokemon that just don't appear in a certain version. And this guide is based in yellow. So for example, you can't find the Weedle line in this game, and you have to catch these in the wild and evolve them into Butterfree, etc. You can't get certain Pokemon like Team Rocket's Pokemon, Jinx, Electabuzz, and Magmar aren't available. That kind of stuff. They have the same thing for red, same thing for blue. Pretty cool. And then this is the field guide data card part with keys to everything. So what they have here is like you can check whether the Pokemon can be found in which version, what stats they're good at. It even doesn't show base stats like you wish it would sometimes, but at least it shows what Pokemon are good at, right? What moves it learns at what levels, and all that kind of stuff, which I think is kind of neat. And this is the place where you put the stamp or the sticker or whatever it is. So if you caught Ivysaur, you can just like keep track of it this way. This is a very stupid way to keep track of everything, but I bet it was a lot of fun for kids back then if they, you know, actually got their hands on the guide and did this. I don't know if anyone did this. Let me know if you did. It seems like a lot of trouble, and the in-game Pokedex keeps track just fine, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. You basically get your own Pokedex by doing this. It's pretty neat. And if you look here, they actually have an entry from Mew, which I think is pretty cool. Can't catch it here. Still thought to be a mere rumor in many parts of the world, Mew has only been seen in captivity a few times. This ultra rare psychic type naturally learns normal and psychic type attacks, like it says here. As it evolves, well, levels up I guess, but it also possesses the ability to learn every single TM and HM created. Of course, such powers make this Pokemon extremely sought after by collectors. You'll never find it in the game, however. Mew has been given away several times in Japan as part of a promotion in Nintendo Power in January of 2099, and rumor has it there will be more Mew giveaways in the future. Good luck. I don't actually remember exactly how Mew was distributed back in the 90s. Nowadays it's usually like secret events and that kind of stuff. I, like many people, fell for the idea that you could get Mew from under the truck on St. Anna or whatever. I definitely fell for that. I remember I had like a friend in primary school who actually had a Mew, I think at Pokemon Stadium somewhere, and he kept telling me his brother knew how to get Mew, but he didn't, so I started bothering his brother. He would never tell me until he finally made up some story or something. It's very stupid. Fucking hated this Pokemon for that. Also worth noting here, I guess, is that its stats look like they're distributed unevenly. It's supposed to have more HP and special and speed than attack and defense, but I think we all know that Mew has base 100 in every stat, so they're actually supposed to be all equal. So I don't know what's up with this, but whatever. At least here you can see the distribution sort of makes sense. HP is maxed out, attack is maxed out, everything else is less than that. So that's definitely the way you're intended to use this chart. I just don't know why it's not accurate from Mew, but I guess it's not much data on Mew back in the day, so you know, they're forgiven for that. So this part right here shows off every single ability, or actually every single attack in the game and what exactly they do. They show the typing, the amount of power points, what's weak to them, in kind of a confusing manner. I think like abbreviating everything in 3 letters is kind of hard to read sometimes. It's like water, ground, rock, grass, bug. I mean, it works if you already know what they're effective against, but otherwise it's kind of annoying to read since the games never abbreviate them like this, but still pretty cool. And then it lists the effect that they have and how the attack is even supposed to be learned, which is kind of cool. Whether it's like through level or a TM, because there's no other ways in Gen 1 besides level and TM. For a move like Earthquake, for example, it says a TM. There are Pokemon that learn Earthquake naturally, so it's a little misleading in that regard, but I guess they couldn't fit everything into this small column. One thing I think is worth noting here is that Confuse Ray and Confusion are both listed, and they both say they would confuse the opponent. It doesn't say actually that it would... they're both listed as attacks that just do it with no damage, as far as I can tell. For example, if you look at Blizzard, it says deals damage and may freeze opponents, so maybe they just don't get what Confusion is. They just don't realize that it's a different thing from Confuse Ray. That was probably the explanation, actually. Again, I put this down to a mistranslation of some kind, but maybe the Japanese guide has an error like this as well. This page shows all the yellow extras. Like apparently there are lots of little differences that set yellow apart from red and blue, but there are also a few big ones. Check out these cool new features unique to yellow. And apparently it has different versus mode, like Poke Cup, Pika Cup, and Petite Cup with different rule sets, depending on Pokemon that have like different levels. The Petite Cup apparently is only for Pokemon that are like lighter than 44 pounds and less tall than 6'8", which is outrageous when you think about it. It's pretty funny. I never knew that. But yeah, apparently only yellow has that. And I never heard of this before. I never heard of this. This is also pretty cool. You probably know about this one. Pikachu Summer Beach. When in the course of Pokemon events, a special Pokemon appears on the scene, it's time to party surfer style. Its origins are shrouded in mystery, but we've learned that a special surfing Pikachu exists that can not only surf, but also use water type attacks in battle. Surfing Pikachu isn't in the game, but rumor has it that a way to get it will soon be revealed. I'm assuming Pokemon Stadium wasn't out back then when it was made, so that's probably going to be it. If you're a lucky owner of one of these ultra rare creatures, there is a surprise waiting for you. In yellow, there is a nondescript house on the shore below Fuchsia City. If you go in with Surfing Pikachu, a kind bro named Dude, or the Dude, will ask you if you want to surf. If you accept, you can catch gnarly air in the waves with Pikachu. As the waves roll by, you'll be given points based on the number of radical stunts you can do off the top of the wave crests. You can head back to the hut to view your highest surfing scores, if you print them out with the Game Boy printer, that thing that everyone had, am I right? Yeah, tricks with Pikachu. I've never played this game. I never had a Surfing Pikachu to work with. I knew about the Surfing Pikachu existing and being able to do a mini game with this, but never read about it in such detail. It's pretty cool that it just like elaborated on it, on like something that doesn't even exist. I guess it's like basically a pre-advertisement for Pokemon Stadium, because that's where you get the Surfing Pikachu apparently. Okay, in this part of the guide, this is like the last part I'm going to be discussing elaborately, is Pokemon combat chart like they had before, but this one is all messed up. This one is not good. This one is all messed up. So this one, it starts out normal with, you know, your normal attacking type here and opponent's type here, and it goes off all the way, normal, fire, water, electric, and then here it's something went wrong with the typing. So here it says grass, and then up here is ice. And everything from here goes wrong. So we got fighting, poison, ground, etc. Same problem here. Bug and rock are in the same place, and then we got ghost and dragon. And these are empty because this is basically where ice and rock were supposed to be, or rather, where dragon and ghost were supposed to be, because everything will move back one square. So, for example, you see here that normal is said to have a disadvantage against dragon and be not very effective, or ineffective against whatever this is supposed to be. This empty spot here, and it just never recovers. Like fire is good against grass and ice, sure, but then it's also good against fighting. It messes up the whole chart, and it's pretty amusing. Interestingly, ghost is listed as super effective against itself again, and still not effective against I think where normal is supposed to be, wherever it's supposed to be here, and it just doesn't say anything about it. Same with dragon. So yeah, completely messed up type chart. Good job, guys. Again, I don't want to nitpick typos too much, but this is a pretty serious error. Good thing there's a like mostly functional chart somewhere else in the guide. One thing that is wrong with it though, that I just sort of noticed, but I guess it might be because they moved everything around. But bug is listed as not very effective against poison, like it is in later gens. Might be a coincidence because of all the typos here. I think this is supposed to be what it does against fighting, and it's supposed to have that advantage over poison. But that's pretty amusing that this mess up actually matches up with how it was in Gen 2, where bug is not very effective against poison. But yeah, it's probably mostly this error right here that messed it all up. But yeah, that's the whole guide. That's the whole thing. Not everything was discussed here, but I've been recording for like an hour plus, and I'm gonna edit it down, obviously. But I think that's quite enough. So this guide is pretty cool. It has a lot of errors in it, obviously, especially at the end there. A lot of things that just shouldn't make it through an official proofreader and everything. But I still think it was super cool to take a look at it and look at all the well-made maps and guides to hidden items and you know, explanations on how certain mechanics work. Those are done very well, and the art is just fantastic and super cool looking. I would probably not buy this guide as a collectible item right now because I'm not much of a collector, but this thing is pretty cool to take a look at. And yeah, if you want me to do more reviews like this, post them in the comment section or DM them to me on Discord or tweet them at me on Twitter, or do something else to make sure I see it. If you have Fire Emblem guides as well that are worth taking a look at, then feel free to post those as well. Guide reviews are fun, and I hadn't done one in a while, so I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys around for next time. Peace out. Bye.